I mean, maybe that'll happen tonight. Hopefully not. But, yeah, this is a massive game, and a lot of people are really confident on one of them. With that said, though, I'm going to be picking who's going to win this, along with some other things. Let's get into it. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Final 12. Please like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the first Thursday night football preview of the season. It's also predictions if that's what you're looking for as well. But anyway, in this one, we will be going through this matchup and doing some other stuff. But again, like I said, it's the first Thursday night football matchup. Last week really wasn't that, and again, we all knew that considering Jalen Carter, he didn't play. So again, the season can't start until he's good. Anyway, though, we had a crazy week one. Both these teams had pretty, actually, like, not crazy games. They're one of the few teams that actually did have that. So I guess we have that going for them. But, yeah. Our matchup to kick off the Thursday Night Football season is a very, very good one. We have some very good matchups throughout the season as well, which I'm very excited about because, as you all know, 2022 was the worst year. 2023, though, was pretty bad as well. 2024, we finally had a couple decent Thursday night games. But this year, I think this will be the best year yet for Thursday Night Football, at least on Prime. With that said, though, Commanders come in at 1-0, obviously. But, yeah, they held the Giants without a touchdown last week, only gave up 6 points. Yeah, their defense is pretty decent, but then again, they're going against the Giants, so how good are they actually? Offensively, they're a little bit stagnant, which, again, I think is going to be a little concern for me with them, which is part of the reason I wasn't going too gung-ho about them when we looked at, again, the power rankings yesterday. But, again, still have your Commanders, and you guys, I feel pretty happy about how you won, especially with how Jalen Daniels looked actually a lot better in terms of overall from what we saw last time he was out in the field back in the NFC Championship. For the Packers, on the other hand, they looked better than probably any other team in week one outside of maybe the Colts, as they handled the Lions pretty easily with like 27-13. Very dictative win. Again, in that game, Micah Parsons had his first sack as a Packer. He should be getting not a lot more, but definitely more snaps than what we saw last week from him. Also, Jordan Love was very solid. The running game wasn't perfect by any means, but it definitely was a lot better than you might have actually even thought going into that game. On top of that, again, we look at those receivers. That looks really fun as well. Packers overall look like a very, very good team, and a lot of people are raving about their defense, which I think is a little bit of a short-sighted analysis on that, but we'll just see how they look in this one. Anyway, though, again, it's going to be at Lambeau. Thursday Night Football Lambeau is always fun. This game will be at 8:15, though. It'll be on Amazon Prime Video. That's the only thing you can watch on it. You're going to have the subscription, so yeah, pay up $8 for it or something like that. But again, we look at the last time these two teams, I can't tell you. I think they played in Lambeau back in, 2019? I think the Packers won that 20-15. That's irrelevant now. But they did play 3 years ago now. They haven't played in a while. In that game, the Packers fell to the Commanders 23-21. That's when Taylor Heineke and Aaron Rodgers were still around. Pretty crazy. They haven't played in a while. So, again, this is actually a pretty new and fun matchup overall. With that said, though, the weather in Green Bay for this game, it's going to be 61 degrees, which is fine. Again, also clear skies, which is nice. A little bit of wind, and it's actually pretty humid for Lambeau at this point in the season. Not, like, insanely humid, but still, it's a little of something to note of. On top of that, announcing this game, again, first time Amazon Prime Video has, has coverage this season. It's now their 4th year of that contract they signed, if I can get out of this. Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, Kaylee Harting, same group. I think Carissa Thompson, Richard Sherman, Andrew Whitworth maybe, and, like, Ryan Fitzpatrick will be doing the studio stuff, or, like, on the sideline, not the sideline, like the halftime and stuff. But outside of that, like I said, both these teams are going to look to get out to a 2-0 start for the first time in a minute, right? Were the Packers 2-0 last year? I can't really tell you. No, they weren't. The Commanders, they were, right? No, they weren't either. Yeah, they weren't either. So, first time in at least 2 years? No. Commanders were not 2-0. No, the Commanders' first time 2-0 since 2023. Packers, it's been a minute. That's what I'll say there. All right. No, really. When was the last time the Packers started out 2-0? It wasn't 2022. It wasn't 2023, was it? No, it wasn't. Definitely not. 2021, no. 2020, first time since 2020 they're trying to get to 2-0. All right, back onto this, though. For the Commanders, their starting lineup, you got Jaden Daniels, of course, starting at quarterback. At running back, you have Austin Eckler, Beyond Jacory Krosky-Barrett, the fantasy demon, will be getting most of the carries. Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel with Noah Brown also there. Jalen Land, again, will probably get a target or two. Zach Ertz and John Bates, tight end. Again, he's the blocking tight end most of the time if we're going to see him out there. Zach Ertz coming off a pretty solid performance, even though the production might not be anything of note. Again, Larry Tunsil, had a decent first game at left tackle. Brandon Coleman, Tyler Biadasz, Nick Allegretti, and then Josh Cardinal Jr., who didn't have his best game, to say the least, in his NFL debut last week. Dorrance Armstrong, DJ Wise Jr. was very good. He's questionable off the edge. John Baptiste is their only other edge rusher at this point. They do have Von Miller and Jacob Martin, obviously, but they're in a little bit of their own place. Deron Payne and Javon Kinlaw also at defensive tackle. Jerson Newton and Eddie Goldman are the backups. Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner at linebacker with Trey Amos, who actually was pretty good last week. I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised. Marshall Lattimore and Mike Sanders still there, as well as Quan Martin, Will Harris at safety. You got Matt Gay's kicker. The punter, Tressway, is questionable. I think, is he trending towards playing? Yeah, okay, we'll see. He's officially listed as questionable. And you also have Tyler out at long snapper. We look over to the Packers. Jordan Love, quarterback, Malik Wilson is backup. Josh Jacobs, Chris Brooks, and Emmanuel Wilson in the backfield. Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks at receiver. Christian Watson is out for this game and probably for a while. I think he's in the PUS. I think we talked about that last week. Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave is the backup. Rasheed Walker, Zach Tom, and Aaron Banks are both questionable. They had a little bit of nagging injuries last week. Sean Ryan, Elkin Gang is also there. For this defense, Rashawn Gary's coming off a monster week. We'll see if he can replicate that. Lucas Ness, who is an absolute bust, actually wasn't too bad last week. Michael Parsons, I don't know what's going on with him. Again, I think he will play, again, in terms of the snap count. But there's definitely still a little discourse with his back. So we'll see how that develops. Devonta White, Colby Wooden, again, the defensive tackles. Kingsley Anegbero will also get out there. Edgerton Cooper, Quay Walker, and Isaiah McDuffie at linebacker. Keyshawn Nixon, Nate Hobbs, questionable, will be the starting cornerbacks. Kamal Haddon, again, will have to probably start if he can't get out there. Maybe Carrington Valentine, but he has not been good on the battery the past 2 years. Bo Melton's out. Javon Bullard is a nickel backer with Brandon McManus and Daniel Woolman doing the kicking and punting. And then again, you got Matt Orzik at the long snap position. In terms of how good I think this game will be, again, as we just started this, if you didn't know, in terms of like, I'm actually looking at this and seeing, do I think this game will be good in terms of the entertainment of it? Again, we have games of the week, must watch, entertaining, decent, and boring. I'm going to put this one, I want to put it in game of the week, but I think there's a couple games later in the week that are just a little bit better for me than this one. But this has got to be a must-watch, right? This is probably one of the better Thursday Night Football games of the year. Again, I understand it's week 2, but these are two NFC teams that are very hopeful, and both offenses should be pretty fun to watch. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be a boring game at the end of the day. I think it's just the biggest thing to say. There's definitely a high floor with this game. At the same time, I think a lot of crazy stuff could happen too. So I don't think it's a game of the week just because I think what we have this week in a lot of ways. Maybe that might be a little bit overreacting. I think, again, game's a game or game of the week. Again, you could argue that's what this is because, again, it's on Thursday Night Football. I wouldn't be, again, he probably does belong there. I'm going to put in must-watch, though. This is a game that I definitely recommend tuning into and watching definitely most of the duration of, unless it gets into a blowout. We'll see if that happens. But that's what I got for that. And finally, who do I have winning this game? I went 7-9 last week. It was not pretty. It was not good. Yeah, no. But for it's so bad. But for this game, Packers are favored. Commanders, I think, defensively will hold the Packers down a little bit, but I don't see this game being one where they're going to be consistently moving the football. And for that reason, I think the Packers are going to be able to control this one and end up winning this one 20-17. I see this being a pretty solid game coming down to the wire, but I'm going to say the Packers are able to win it in the not waning moments, but definitely in like the final 2 minutes to either steal the game or figure out a way to win it. And yeah, that's what I got there, 2017 final score. Now let's get to our week 2, 3, and now college football game day picks. And moving on to the college football portion of the week. Again, if you did not watch last week or the offensive rankings from tier week, which again, I think that's when I did my week 1 picks for college football. That doesn't really matter though. Last week, NFL kickoff game, I did predict the Thursday college football games. Again, this only lasts for a little bit. I'll probably do parts of Bowl Mania across the entire weeks. Again, the last week, couple weeks, Thursday Night Football, considering again, college football will be done by now. But we're not even close to that point now. Again, ignore the confidence bonus points. I've done a lot better with college football. I'm 14-6, went 7-3 both weeks, which isn't awesome, but it's still, like, it's respectable. But anyway, for the college game day picks, this is a loaded week overall. Last week wasn't awesome. Again, I think we have a couple of ranked matchups for sure, and this should just be a good week of football. So, Clemson last week, if you didn't know, they kind of struggled with Troy, to be honest with you guys. They were down, 16-0, something like that at the half. And their offense kind of like actually got together in the second half. That really doesn't matter, guys, because like the fact they were down at that point was just inexcusable. Georgia Tech is a team with Haynes King, veteran quarterback, that I really think will give the Clemson D line a lot of fits, even though they might not be the most threatening group. But that Georgia Tech O-line is strong. I wouldn't say they're experienced, but they're definitely strong. Clemson, I don't know what's going on with their offense. I don't see, again, them going to Georgia Tech and putting up 50 points, though. I think that's really the only reason they're going to have a real shot at taking this game away from Georgia Tech very easily. So for that reason, I'm going to say Georgia Tech actually pulls off this upset. Again, I don't think it's very plausible for that to happen, but I actually think that Clemson will fall to Georgia Tech in this one. It'll be a big upset. And I think Clemson is just a little bit overrated right now because I'll be honest, guys, I'm not really too confident in them considering what we saw last week and even in week 1 offensively. Memphis versus Troy. A lot of people like Troy in this one. I'm not one to really tend to pick that. I really want to pick Troy here. But I'm going to say Memphis is able to actually get out to a better start than what Clemson did. Run the football, really set the tone. And then Troy, I don't really think their offense is honestly that great, even though they did play pretty well in that first half against Clemson. And they're actually going to be able to, Memphis is able to control the game. I don't see it being a big score or anything like that, but I have Memphis in that one. Georgia versus Tennessee. This is the game day game, which I don't think it should be. It should be Florida versus Miami, which is a high-risk take considering the fact that that game could be a blowout. But for Georgia and Tennessee specifically, I don't think Tennessee's very good, to be honest with you guys. Again, Joey Aguilar is just a little bit of a kind of like boring quarterback for me. I'm not saying Georgia's this amazing team, but I still think they are probably that. But I just think they're a more talented team. They're going to go to Knoxville and kind of just shut everyone up. Who knows, though? The goalpost could be coming down again. Washington State, though, versus North Texas. Again, Washington State lost all their good players. They've been okay the first 2 weeks, and then North Texas just isn't really that great of a team. I'm actually going to pick Washington State in this one to pull off the upset. They're just again, I understand they're not a very talented team. They lost literally everybody. But it's a game against North Texas that you kind of inexcusable to lose, to be honest with you guys, in a lot of ways, even though North Texas, you could argue, is actually more talented than Washington State. Next matchup is just kind of like a mid-bowl, to be honest with you guys. I think I picked West Virginia a couple weeks ago. They didn't really play well at all against Ohio. It was actually last week. I have no trust in them. I think Pitt, again, they got out to a 7-0 start last year. Probably not seeing that going to happen, but I think they'll actually have a good game in this one. They'll figure out a way to win. App State versus Southern Miss. You know what? I'm picking Southern Miss. Again, if you didn't know, Marshall's head coach and a lot of their players went over to Southern Miss. They didn't have a great week 1 against Mississippi State, but they still didn't get blown out or anything. Again, I understand it's like a low-tier SEC school, but maybe not for Arizona State. And then last week, they just kind of won. So, App State's definitely a more overall better program. But I think, again, the fact that, again, Southern Miss is the Marshall head coach, and also they just honestly have a lot of good players, I think that'll help them out. That's when they're going to be able to pull off that upset. A&M versus Notre Dame. Again, this is probably the best matchup other than the whiteout for Big Ten Saturday night. But this isn't even Big Ten Saturday night. It's just Notre Dame football on NBC. So that's what I'll say there. Notre Dame has no excuse for losing this game. I'm picking them, obviously, but you put against a Miami squad that I don't think is amazing. They're definitely a solid team, though. Again, we're talking about the grand scheme of the playoff picture. But the fact, again, they weren't able to, again, close that one out and really, again, put the hammer down is a little bit disappointing. But they got to be Texas A&M. I think they're a very overrated team, to be honest with you guys. But, yeah, you got to be Texas A&M. I don't care how talented they are. This is a game. You're at home. There's no excuse for losing this game. Again, I'm not saying you need to go 11-1 to make the playoff, but you kind of do. So this has got to be a game you either lose by like at the very end of the game or something like that, or you just throw down the hammer, which I think they will be able to. I don't think Notre Dame's a great team, but this is a game, again, if they're going to make the playoff, they're going to have to win this one. Vanderbilt versus South Carolina. This is a really fun matchup. I'm not the biggest fan of South Carolina, guys. I think that Shane Beamer's a good head coach, but I don't think he's some overworldly culture building sort of guy, which like some people think he is. I will say though, he's obviously a solid coach. For Vanderbilt though, Dayo Pavia, again, 6-year senior, whatever. That they completely spanked VTech after the half. But honestly, I didn't love how they played against them. Similar to South Carolina, I don't know what it is about that Tech defense, but they played pretty well against them. I honestly think those South Carolina's just a way better team, to be honest with you guys. So I'm just going to pick them and say, not really to get too deep into that one. But yeah, this should be a decent game. Duke and Tulane. This is kind of about as dead even as it gets. A lot of people like Tulane considering how they played last week, and I honestly do as well. Duke, they didn't really get blown out by Illinois last week, even though the score does suggest that. They still didn't play well, though. Again, a lot of people go, it was just it was kind of a game. No, they did play well. Again, you lose by 26 points. I don't know how. I don't care if it was a freaking 10-point game. Then I don't know. You gave a pick 6 or something, and then I don't know. You threw a Hail Mary in the last play of the game or something, and you got brought back. I don't care about that. There's a reason you were already down 10 points. Again, you didn't play well enough to stay in that game. It's that simple. I don't care about how those touchdowns were scored. It was a 26-point margin. Again, there's really no excuse for that. Minnesota versus Cal. Give me Cal. I'm rolling with Cal on this one. I mean, again, I picked them a couple weeks ago for the upset. They beat Oregon State. Again, I understand they're 0-2 now, but give me Cal on this one. I like that one there. Tennessee, Georgia for points. What are we going to say the final score of that one is? Honestly, 27-13. No, that was a couple years ago. 27-15. What is that, 42 points? There we go. All right, I'm going to save those picks. I'll worry about the rest of this. And again, hope you guys enjoyed the Thursday Night Football matchup. And here's, I guess, the biggest highlight from the last time they played.
4-man rush. Heineke hit as he throws. It is ripped away by Devondre Campbell. And he's got plenty of green grass in front of him. Devondre Campbell, pick 6, Green Bay. 13-3 lead. First pick of the year, the 6th of Campbell's 7-year NFL career. What a signing he's been. High steps it for 6 and a 4.